For the newer people here, Steve is my accountant, my tax accountant, business partner. Yeah, so lover. I can say lover. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to hit this really quick. Basically, I just want to quickly give a very brief update on where things are and look just at a kind of compliance point of view for where the market is at the moment from a tax, a little bit of tax avoidance. We actually have a separate group if you want to join it now. If you want to learn about illegal tax evasion, there's a separate group you can join. It's called the Labour Party. Bit of political satire, first thing on the morning. So I'm going to whiz through this, and I'm going to tell you what this slide was meant to be, and then also I'll tell you why I think Siam's just sabotaged it by putting something at the top there, and what Siam thinks this slide was meant to be. So basically, back on the 3rd of February 2004, I did a long talk here where I went through all of the tax compliance, and I promised to everyone that I would not be back to talk about tax, provided everyone listened to it. And 77,000 people listened to it, and we've had lots of calls and lots of information about it, and a lot of the data is still relevant from that video back there. What Siam thought this is about is where I normally pull him up and say, actually, if you want to find this video, if you go onto his popular and go onto his 3rd most popular video, you can find the tax one. And he's obviously butthurt about that and put a different video up there. The short story about that talk I did 18 months ago was really that the HMRC are now coming after the crypto tax side. And it was kind of a last hurrah to get your taxes straight, all the sort of stuff that we don't want to be doing and you don't want me up here talking to you about either. But as an update from there, basically they'd launched a portal for you to put your taxes online, declare everything, and get yourself straight. And what they did there, and one of the key takeaways, is you had to choose the interest rate that you had to pay. And that was a calculated spreadsheet, so that was all nice and good. But the key point was that you had to choose what penalty you thought that you had to pay. And that could range anywhere from 0% up to 100% of tax payable. And in the future, I've seen taxes, when they've done this afterwards for property, go up 200% of penalties for fraudulent non-compliance. And so this was back 18 months ago. They launched this portal. We had an influx of people coming and asking for our help to do it, albeit it is quite easy for you to do yourself. And at that point, obviously, every submission that we're putting in, we're saying 0% penalty. The reason why, sorry, Mr. HMRC, we're a loyal and compliant servant of the state. However, we had misunderstood this, and now that this has been brought to our attention, the first thing we did on hearing this is we've come to you and we've submitted it and we're going to pay what we're due. And for the first year or so, that was completely accepted by where they are. We've submitted about 3 or 4 of these over the last couple of months, and they are now rejecting the 0%. Because they're saying, well, actually, you can't now say that you acted quickly and diligently, because it's 18 months after we launched this. And so now we're putting in 10%, 20% penalties, and they're kind of getting accepted, but a lot of them are getting bounced as well. So what they're now actually saying is, we've given you this gateway, we've given you this way for you to get caught up with, and if you're now actively ignoring that, you're actively trying to not do what you should be doing. And so the information from back then is still completely valid, but they are ramping up and escalating that effectively compliance and regulatory issue. And so where we are today is, what do we actually know? So let's take a step back and go, where are we today in terms of what the HMRC are actively looking to do? We know, and we knew this back 18 months ago as well, most of this, the banks were reporting to the HMRC. We knew some of the centralized exchanges, Coinbase, Binance, stuff like that, are reporting to the HMRC. We also know there's a dedicated crypto tax calculated guide that the HMRC publish and is freely available for everyone to see. There's a dedicated portal that they've launched for you to report your taxes on. They're increasing the penalties for not filing. So they're saying to us, we don't believe you anymore if you're saying that you weren't aware of all of this. They're closing crypto accounts. My Kraken at the minute is blocked because I've asked for literally every bit of information about my life to get it back open again. 2 weeks later, I still can't access or trade any of my Kraken. I think this was a text message that got sent to you, Siam, which you forwarded on to me. So they're texting people saying about crypto. There's letters being sent. The exchanges are now asking for more know your business, even at a company level. So everything is pointing to they are looking at this and they are coming after this in a way. And I stand up here and I tell people, I know it still kind of goes above the head, because I still hear people saying, I'm going to make loads of money and then I'm just going to leave the country. And that's fine if that's in your head, but it's weird for me standing up here that everyone suddenly wants to become a tax just because they're making a bit of money. I have this conversation with people, like someone a couple of weeks ago, they earn 30 grand a year. And they're like, if I make 10 million on crypto, why should I pay 4 million of that to the government if at the high? I'm saying you're earning 30 grand a year at the moment. If you suddenly get £6 million dropped in your bank account, don't worry about what the hell you pay to the government. Enjoy your life and start reasons around maximising how you're going to spend your crypto money and enjoy your life. But there's this weird obsession, particularly within the crypto thing, or trying to hide it from the government. And everything we love about crypto will be used against us. And people I don't always understand, everything's on chain. And so what we like about crypto and what we like about how everything can be traced will be used against us. So they can see where our money's going in at the bank. They can see how we've traded it. They can see where it's gone. They can track all of this down. And they will. And this is me putting my tinfoil hat on a little bit, but why would they want to do that? Well, I think it's widely accepted that the CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, are going to come out. That's going to be tracked. How can they track that? How can they understand that? They're going to need very, very high standards of compliance to track and understand where that's going. We're basically being used as guinea pigs for that, because they're not going to suddenly launch these big central bank currencies and then go, let's now try and work out how we can track it. So there's an emphasis and a focus on this industry now, because they're trying to work out how they can track it, how they can do it. And as I keep saying, HMRC are slow, but they're not stupid. So anything we think we're doing that is smart or clever to try and avoid that, they have got people far smarter than anyone in this room or myself working out how they can get around this. I'll give you an example. This was back in, I think, 2021, 2022. David George, one of the RT members, don't know if he still is, he was hacked for £1 million. Not me doxing him, he stood up on stage talking about it at the time, and we helped him do that. Back then, the HMRC, they have what I call a I don't believe you clause, which is effectively a negligible claim clause. So if you get hacked or you have your crypto stolen, the HMRC say, I don't believe you. Therefore, we're always going to believe that you still have that 10 Bitcoin that you say got lost, but we'll allow you to put a negligible value claim in to say it's worth nothing for the time being. However, we don't believe you, so we're always going to keep an eye on that. And if suddenly that 10 Bitcoin comes back, by the way, you just create fraud. And so they are constantly skeptical about what's happening within the crypto industry. So just reading my notes, one of them says, give Lewis a sloppy kiss. So thanks for that, Lewis. Slow, not stupid. Effectively, all the signs are pointing to, affairs in order. What you don't want to be doing is, say you do make that £10 million windfall in 3 or 4 years' time, and you are having to give away, 40, 50% of it in tax. That's bad enough. But if you're then getting slapped with 100, 200% penalties, what's the point in doing it? So that's when it is really stupid. And unless you are one of these people that is just going to flee the country and never wants to return ever again, then, that's the only risk that you're going to have to take. But all the warnings and all the issues are pointing to they are coming after this hard. And as much as I said 2 years ago, I'm not going to stand up here as long as everyone listens, and I do believe most people listen, I still then, effectively, this comes out. There's a new implementation of crypto reporting framework, the CARF, which is just aimed at crypto service providers having to provide more information to the government. And so, despite all of this that's already gone on, and I've stood up here and shouted long and hard, report, 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 they're coming after you, they're coming after you. I've had a handful of people go, Steve, I'm really worried about this. But why? Why is this the trigger point that's actually made you think, oh crap, I'd better get this sorted? Because before this point, everything is said. The government are focusing on it. They're focusing on it from a reporting point of view, from a tax point of view, and they see this as the next big windfall, not necessarily just in tax for now, but they're thinking about this in the future. we're sitting in this room because we believe crypto is the next big thing. It is a big thing at the moment, but we're early adopters. So if this hits the heights and the scales, which we all believe it will do, the government are looking at what we're doing now to set the benchmark for the future. And so it was kind of an opportunity for me to stand up and say, look, the stuff that we talked about 18 months ago hasn't gone away. It's getting stronger and more compliant. We've missed the boat to an element of being able to say, look, we messed up, we're not going to pay a penalty. But actually, if you're paying a 10 or 20% penalty now because you're catching up on it, it's going to be better than the 50, 60, 70, 100% penalty you're going to be paying in a year's time. So it isn't this isn't a sales pitch for me to stand up here and do that. That video will give you all the information you need to be able to do it yourself. Most of the issue and the hard part is actually filling in a Coinly or a crypto tax calculator and getting all of that information sorted. It's actually that's the hard part. And then 90% of accountants out there will be able to help with that. This is not financial advice. If you want specialist tax advice about stamp duty, then crypto tax, then you've got people out there that can help it. But the obligation is on you now. There's no get out anymore of going, I didn't know. And I think, again, tin hat territory, just me standing here talking to you about this could be used against you in the future. Well, think about it, right? Okay, you're the HMRC. Yeah. No, it's a long step, and the HMRC aren't there yet. But you go, right, okay, they want to tackle this, and they want to actually prove, and you've got to prove that you knowingly didn't purposely defraud the government of this. So then you go, you put it through a burner coin. Why did you do that? Oh, well, it just disappeared. Wrong. So they'll start pulling it back. They'll start looking at all the transactions. They'll start looking at what you put into crypto as to what you've taken out. They'll look at your lifestyle. They'll look at your social media. You only earn 10 grand a year, but you're buying a Lamborghini. Oh, you're part of the realistic trader because you put the subscription down as a deductible cost against your thing. There's a tax guy that stands up there talking about it. So how can you say that? Now, they're a long way from doing that, but could there be some sort of AI agent or something like that that unwinds that in the future? So we've got a whole day talking about AI. And if I was the government and I was looking at CBDCs and how all of this is going to roll out in the future, that clear way of tracking things through and understanding what people are up to means that we're sitting there going, we're being smart, but we're actually fighting people that are smarter than us and potential AI in the future. And I don't think that's a stretch. Now, we're not there yet, but like I say, they're slow, not stupid. So I kind of wanted to just stand up here for 15 minutes and go, look, this is where it's at. This is what's happened. We're no different to where we were before. If you want to have a chat, I'm not about today. I've got to shoot off straight after this. But let Lewis or Siam have some feedback as to whether you think sort of a tax clinic would work. And then perhaps after one of Siam's trading pubs, or we'll do a separate event where we'll jump online and talk through some tax, which everyone loves. So I think that was my last slide. Yeah, so amazing. Thank you. Sorry for the next time.
Cheers, buddy.